you doing?
Hey, Lance, how you doing?
You know,
So Lane asked me before. I said,
Oh, okay.
we'd like to welcome everyone to the Tuesday night board meeting of March 5th of the City of Hot Springs. The city directors are taking their place, and while they're doing so, I'd like to call upon Joanne Carter for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Corporal Joey Williams of the Hot Springs Police Department. Please rise.
Our Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to come, dear Lord, and serve. And Father, we ask that you bless each one of these directors, Father, in such a special way. We ask, Lord, for you to bless them with their dedication to our city. And Lord, we are so blessed with a beautiful city. Father, we do also ask for wisdom tonight as we make decisions for our city and all the surrounding areas of us. So, Father, we just ask now that you come and be with us, join us, dear Lord, and just cover us with your mercy and your grace. These things I ask in the sweet name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, and Mr. Spicer, please call the roll.
Davidson,
Here.
Jones, Clark,
Here.
Weatherford, Garcia,
Here.
Folly,
Here.
McCabe.
Here. City Manager Bill Burrows is out representing the city this evening, out of town, out of state, and so his chair will be absent. I think Lance would normally slide over. He's trying to itch over a little bit, but he's got some control items that are specific to his workstation there. So if you see him in and out of the camera view, that's probably because he's
I'll split the difference.
trying to work both chairs. So thank you, Mr. Spitzer. At this time, we'll consider approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda or items to be removed from consent agenda to new business?
May I move that we accept the agenda?
Director Jones, seconded by Director Clark. All in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. Consider approval of the minutes of February 19th, 2019. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Director Weatherford, seconded by
Garcia.
Director Garcia. All in favor of the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. We have Mr. Gary Troutman, President of the Hot Springs Metro Partnership. He's going to come forward and provide us a quarterly economic development update. Welcome, Mr. Troutman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. Appreciate you letting me speak tonight. I've got a lot to report. I'll try to make it quick. Going back to January, Cole McCaskill and Michelle Ratcliffe attended the ICSC Deal-Making Conference in Fort Worth. Retail Director Garcia, I know that we've spoken about that in the past, looking for opportunities there, working with local commercial realtor Brian Gerke on that trip. We hosted our annual banquet in January. We had 610 in attendance. Our winners were Dr. John Hogan, Man of the Year, Jackie Harrison, Woman of the Year, Window Mart, Large Business of the Year, Tanner's Small Business of the Year, Junior Auxiliary Organization of the Year, The Call, Nonprofit of the Year, Heather Bush, Ambassador of the Year, and Scott Burton, Rising Star. We've been fortunate to have a wealth of riches with the highways in and around Hot Springs the last several years, but with everything being completed and the way things are looking, the extension of the expressway is frankly about the only major project. Don Beavers, who has been heavily involved, former owner of B&F Engineering or founder of B&F Engineering, had originated the Transportation Committee about 3 decades ago. And he said, while things are wonderful now, we need to be planning ahead. You always need to be looking ahead, especially with highways. So we've resurrected the Transportation Committee with the Chamber and partnership and planning possible future opportunities there. So if you have any suggestions, we're all ears. We've attended the Being Good Neighbors. You all know that we work with Malvern, the Village, Arkadelphia. We've attended the Malvern Banquet and the Hot Springs Village Banquet in the last 2 months. The mayor and city manager Burrow accompanied us. We attended the Preserve Arkansas Awards in Little Rock in January. Local developers Anthony Taylor and Bob Kempkis were honored with Lifetime Achievement Awards that night, and Congressman Westerman was honored for helping to preserve the historic tax credit. Appreciate you all. I think most all of you, if not all of you, attended the legislative reception that we hosted and Oaklawn sponsored at War Memorial. And we capped off January with the 11th grade career fair. We had over 1,100 local 11th graders and 24 local companies represented, trying to open the eyes of young people and seeing the opportunities that are available to them right here in Hot Springs without having to move to Little Rock or Northwest Arkansas or out of state upon graduation. A second step that we've gone there, we've gone into looking at the 8th grade area or 8th grade level, and we're working with Dawson Co-op in Arkadelphia about a program we might can institute locally to catch the 11th graders at the higher level, but then get them thinking at career at a younger level. We've attended along with the mayor and city manager Burrow, attended Tri-Lakes MPO board of directors meeting along the transportation and highway topic. The biggest thing, I guess, without parallel, would be the Ritter Press Conference. We were thrilled to announce that we are bringing broadband connectivity in the biggest sense to Hot Springs. We were pleasantly surprised that we had representation from all 4 Little Rock TV stations there, so it even got bigger play than we anticipated. But we're excited for our local businesses, our local companies, and in the future for our students who will also reap the benefits. We conducted 2 rounds of FBI bomb training. As sensitive as a topic that is, it's been something that occurred both at Lakeside School and at Express Boats in the past several months. So it was good to have the FBI come and allay some fears there. Have met with the new Jessieville superintendent. I don't know, haven't seen it a lot in the press. But Melissa Spears was promoted from interim to the full-time superintendent at Jessieville. So congratulations to her, working with her on things. Forrest Spicer, whom you all know, has organized a group of 45 and under. This is an area where we're particularly sensitive, a demographic where we frankly lose a lot of folks in Hot Springs, the 20 to 45 group, and he's working to establish a network there to keep those folks at home. We were thrilled to be selected along with Searcy and Russellville as a test site for Economics Arkansas to again bring workforce education to our local kids. I think they've noticed what we've been doing the past several months. And finally, to kick off the month, Michelle Ratcliffe attended Business Retention and Expansion class in Baltimore, and I joined her for Workforce Development Strategies. Sticking with the workforce theme, we had a call with UALR yesterday. Here's a program we're really excited about. They're looking at internships for our teachers during the summer, 5-week internships where they work with our local manufacturers, see what they're doing firsthand, and then go back in the fall and incorporate that into their curriculum. So that's another area where we could bridge the gap there between local industry and education. And wrapping up here, tomorrow night, appreciate Wayne Smith being here from Oaklawn and Mark Curry, our past chairman. But tomorrow night are the Arkansas Business Awards in Little Rock. And the 2 of the 3 finalists for Large Business of the Year are Oaklawn and Window Mart. So we've got a 67% chance of having the winner right here in Hot Springs and Garland County. And most of you know Lynn Blankenship. She's up for Nonprofit Executive of the Year for CCMC. So we'll wish them well. We continue our meetings again with our neighbors in Arkadelphia, Malvern, and the Village. I'm going to go visit consultants in 2 weeks and sing the praises of Hot Springs. And just last Monday, you know how excited we were about Ritter. And frankly, you know, projects, although they're wonderful and we're always working to get them, it's rare that we get the appointment and get to present that to groups. We actually had 2 in one day last Monday involving 120 jobs and $11 million in capital investment. So last Monday was a great day. I will conclude by saying we've been talking a lot about Quint Studer and our visit to Pensacola and the innovative things they're doing there with community growth strategies. And we just found out earlier today that Mr. Studer will be coming to Hot Springs on April 10th and 11th. So I hope you all can join and hear the wonderful things he's doing and the message he gives. And I want to thank Director Garcia on a show of unity. I believe last month that our county judge, Daryl Mahoney, came and spoke to you all and pledged his support. And Director Garcia showed up a week or two later at Quorum Court and did the same. So I thank you all for your attention, and be happy to try to answer any questions if I may. Sorry for the long report. We've been busy for the
Garcia.
last 2 months.
It was a good report. I have a question on the Ritter project. Is that just going to be businesses, or will it go to residences? That's some questions I've got.
Initially, it'll be businesses. They've got to establish their network and build out from there. I believe there's going to be 6 pods. I'm going off the cuff because I'm not a Ritter guy, but I believe there's going to be 6 pods within the community. It will be business at first, but I think I don't want to speak for them, but I think their long-term plan is to include residential as well.
After that's the
After initial phases.
and it's any business. I mean, small business, not just large.
Correct. Anyone that feels they have the need for a high-speed connection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Trotman? Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
it.
Appreciate your time.
A lot going on. We have another special guest tonight is Corporal Joey Williams of the Hot Springs Police Department. The Hot Springs Police Department had posted on their website, and they hit Facebook a little bit about the counterfeit bills being used throughout our community, and unsuspecting citizens trying to buy product with those counterfeit bills, and unbeknownst to them, are always surprised that they have that in their wallet or in their purse. And so the Facebook post outlined what to look for, and so I thought that would be a good, so to speak, public service announcement to have that little education here at the city board meeting, recognizing that we are broadcast worldwide, right from Hot Springs National Park. So.
Good evening.
Corporal Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to speak about this important subject. And before we go into the tips and about identifying some of the counterfeit money, there's been some concerns that maybe this is just an isolated Hot Springs issue, and you hear people posting on Facebook that it's Hot Springs. It's a statewide, nationwide epidemic. So I don't want anybody to think that it's something that's just tailored to Hot Springs, but we have seen a rash of it here lately. So any information we can get out and help people not be a victim of these crimes, we want to definitely get that information out there via social media or any way we can. So the most common way that people can identify the counterfeit money, or they use to identify the counterfeit money, is with the common PIN. A lot of people see those. You can buy those at Walmart or any store with the PIN. The PIN is interesting. It's neat, but if you don't know how the PIN works, it's iodine. And counterfeit money is generally made of paper and has starch in it. Iodine reacts to the starch, and that's how you get the mark. U.S. currency is actually made with fabric. You can actually see the red and blue fibers that are in that. That's why the PIN shows a different mark for paper or for money. The problem is with that, it's not always accurate. One, there's a technique called washing or bleaching money. They'll actually take $1 or $5 bills, bleach that money, and then reprint for 10, 20, even 50 or $100 bills over that, which would give you an accurate mark with the pen, showing that it's not counterfeit when it actually is. The Secret Service recommends actually using a blacklight technique. They're very cheap. You can actually buy a marking pen that has a blacklight in the back of it. Every U.S. currency from 5, 10 to 20, 50, and 100 has a blacklight mark, or actually a band through it that actually will illuminate under a blacklight. We're not talking about people spending a lot of money to be able to identify this. Actually, the $100 bill has a pink and orange strip. $50 is yellow, 20 is green, 10 is red, and $5 are blue. So the only currency that does not have that is a $1 bill. The other problem with the pen is that I can take a $20 bill, put it in my pocket, and laundry detergent and things have starch in it. That starch will actually rub off on that bill and actually give a false positive for counterfeit money. So the pen, there's nothing wrong with the pen, but we want to encourage people to look at those other techniques to identify counterfeit money. The security band through it, like some of the images we have up there, the watermark, you can hold it up to a light and see the watermark of the money, or even looking at the fine print. Counterfeit money generally has blurry lines. It's not as high definition as the U.S. currency is. The bigger issue with that is these people who are passing these bills and trying to get them onto the public are using high-pressure techniques. They find a cashier who is either inexperienced or is very busy, and that's how these bills make it into circulation. And that's why we wanted to encourage a lot of local businesses to educate their employees, to look at the money, pause for a second. These people are going to be high pressure. They're going to try to shortchange them or tell them, that's what I gave you. Hurry up, and I got to go. Give me that money. And they're intimidated into taking that money, and then it enters into circulation and becomes a problem with our citizens. So our biggest goal there is to encourage businesses to educate their employees, to look at the money, take time. Time is on their side. I understand people are in a hurry, everybody's in a hurry, but it's not worth taking a fake $100 bill because you're going to take a loss on that money. And, if you're suspicious, we encourage anybody to call the police department. They can call us anytime. We'll come out and look at that money. We actually are working with the Secret Service and having a program that agents will come down and help give us some tips on some counterfeit money. That's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And so we just want to help spread that information and help prevent people from being a victim. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Director Garcia?
Could I ask a question on not specifically on the bills, but you put out on your page several months ago about how credit cards at the gas station were putting
The skimmers.
skimmers.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was very informative of what to look for. And recently I heard there's another process that is being used to get your credit card information.
I'm not familiar which process it is. I know we're still seeing every once in a while seeing a skimmer issue pop up. If you remember, a lot of people go on our Facebook page. I don't want to take up all your time, but we encourage people, if you go to an ATM or a gas pump, to pull on that card. Most of those skimmers sit on the outside of it, and you can pull on that where your card goes in, and if it pops off or it's loose, that's a warning sign that it possibly could be a skimmer. ATMs, gas pumps, anything like that, they're placing those in places. We have not seen those in the several weeks, but any of those scams like that are always rearing their ugly head and coming back around.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Any other questions of Corporal Williams?
Thank you, that was good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate
and y'all
you.
have a good evening.
Thank you. Our next item of business is City Manager's Report. Lance, you going to provide for that?
I will. I'll do this in Mr. Burrows' absence. The long-awaited Majestic site planning sessions are been announced. Hot Springs residents are invited to attend site redevelopment planning sessions on the former Majestic Hotel site on 2 dates, Monday, April 1st from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and Tuesday, April 2nd from 12 noon to 2:30. These sessions will be held in the Hot Springs Convention Center, room 203 and 204. Those planning to attend are asked to RSVP to those sessions by sending an email to majesticsite@cityhs.net. That'll help us and all our partners, who I'll mention later, to plan for these sessions. These sessions will be hosted by Kansas State. That's the Technical Assistance to Brownfields program. We know it as the TAB program. The University of Arkansas, Fay Jones School of Architecture and Design, and of course the City of Hot Springs will also support them. Residents can still submit their ideas and input online at the city's Majestic site redevelopment webpage. It's at the bottom rotating tile at on the city's website, cityhs.net. We have firefighter recruitments coming up with a number of expected openings at the Hot Springs Fire Department. Firefighter recruitment seminar will be held 6 p.m. Thursday, March 14th in the upstairs training room at Central Fire Station, located at 310 Broadway Avenue. At the seminar, the life and duties of a firefighter will be described in detail by both experienced and rookie firefighters, followed by a question and answer session. Applications will be accepted until 5 p.m. on March 29th. For details, please contact the Human Resources Office at 321-6841. And finally, a pruning class crepe myrtle pruning class is being offered at 10 a.m. Friday, March 8th at Energy Park. That's located at 530 Lake Park Drive. And this will take place at the fishing pond to the right as you enter Energy Park. Class will be taught by Hot Springs Urban Forester, Mr. Alan Bates. It will include proper pruning techniques for ornamental trees, and ways to keep the trees from stress, disease management, clean, and also how to clean the pruning equipment. For information, you can call Urban Forestry at 622-6486. That concludes the report.
Very good, thank you. Board of Directors announcements of upcoming events. Any director have an announcement of upcoming? Director Garcia.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I would like to invite you to attend the next meeting in District 5, which will be March 8th, this coming Friday, at 305 Forest Lakes Boulevard at 5 p.m. The special guest speaker is Mayor Pat McCabe, and he will be bringing information and updates about the Northwoods trails, and I am sure a lot more. Also, a resident in District 5 who has prepared a rendition that's been here at the city, he'll have that on display of the Majestic location. And for people that don't have email and want to sign up RSVP for the input meetings, we'll have a sign-up sheet that I'll submit that for them. So 5 o'clock Friday, and the mayor. Thank you.
Director Garcia will be joined by Tracy Berry, who's the director of the Northwoods Project, and I'll bring a mountain bike, and you can ride up the rocks behind the pool area. See if you can traverse
I'm the
that.
hostess.
You're the hostess. All right, well,
I got to go hear you, man.
we'll find somebody else to ride the bike.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Director Davidson.
On Monday, March 18th, is the Park Avenue Community Association meeting, and the group has had to move from their prior location because the amounts of people has gotten so large.
Right.
Apparently, we have, knock on wood, we have had so many people move in to the Park Avenue area now, and there's people still looking for houses, and there's not any for sale because, except for a couple that are in my neighborhood that I'm going to go visit the gentleman that owns both of them because we took him to court once before about his vacant houses up there. There just aren't any houses available.
So where is your meeting going to be held?
It's now at the primary school up off of, oh gosh, what is that? It's right by the park on the south side of the,
What is it?
Tom Ellsworth Drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ellsworth Drive.
It's at it is a wonderful new school, and it's beautiful. and everybody
What time
loves
is that at?
it. They're usually at 6.
6 o'clock on the 18th at the school, Tom Ellsworth Drive. All right.
May have to ask you to come speak sometime.
Uh-oh, man, you getting good.
May come visit. All right. Any other announcements of upcoming events? Upcoming events.
Upcoming tonight at 501 Prime. All of you are invited to. Do you want to wear a mask tonight and some beads?
Think I need a mask
I want
tonight?
you a mask and some beads.
All right.
But if you don't want to, you
Okay.
won't hurt my feeling. But anyway, he's got some cane cakes in there for the board of directors, and he would like for you to drop by. I had duck gumbo, collard greens. What else did I eat?
Gringo taco.
Gringo taco, duck taco. And he's got a menu tonight for a Zydeco menu. So directors, y'all, I hope you haven't had your dinner. You need to go.
Oh, man.
And anybody else out there, if you want to go somewhere nice tonight, that's where you need to go. We're
Well-
celebrating Fat Tuesday.
Does he have Zydeco music?
Yes,
Yes.
and it's good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very good. Thank you.
Since we're
Director
doing
Weatherby.
all this, I just would like to remind everybody of a very big upcoming event on March 17th, Sunday. It's St. Patrick's Day. It's the first ever 16th annual world's shortest St. Patrick's Day parade. Please come join us, the other 30,000 people that will be there. And if you would like to join us for the International Order of the Marching Elvi, give me a call. I'll get you hooked up.
My favorite.
Very good. On that same theme, that whole weekend kicks off, I think, around 5 or 6 o'clock on Friday, the 15th,
Yes.
with the 0K run.
We know about that.
460 people signed up, and I think I was like the 457th because I just got under the wire. And to sign up for that 299-foot in ultra marathon run.
I was waiting for you to challenge me, Mayor, before I signed.
I was going to,
Joining us, Brian?
I never got the challenge on that one. So.
I know my limitations. So, no, it'll be 460 people. They said they raised like $10,000 for CASA.
Great.
Great event, great cause. And 460 people will be towing the line, as they call it, there on Bridge Street, ready to run 299 feet with an aid station right in the middle. So if you go out a little too hard and you need a little help, you can pull off to the side. But you better pull off to the side because the other 200 will run you right over. So and then we have this coming Saturday is the Adam Brown Shamrock 5K out at Lake Hamilton High School. They're having a special treat this year with the Navy is going to do a flyover. They do about 50 of them a year, and this was one of the 50 that were selected. So and there are a lot of people that run that race, and having that flyover is a special treat. And then there's a barbecue is being catered. I believe Smoking in Style has done that in the past. They'll be there again. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out, but so there's good food and good fellowship, and all for a good cause. And don't forget the state basketball tournament. That's this weekend. Is that not correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
So we've got a series of games for 3 days or so, and town will be full as it has been the last several weekends.
Yes.
So
Yes.
something for everybody coming up. All right. Anybody else have an upcoming event? Well, we're about ready to get into the meeting here. The consent agenda are a list of items that are generally of a routine nature that do not require discussion. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. One of those 3 items concerns myself, so I won't, I'll be abstaining on the consent agenda, but I'll call for the motion and the second. So with that,
I so move.
we got a motion by Director Garcia, seconded by Director Jones, to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstention is Pat McCabe.
Noted.
Consent agenda is approved.
So Mayor, your new nomination for A&P is here.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Item
Mayor, you
Mr.,
want him to come up?
Yeah, we had, on the consent agenda, 2 items I could have voted for, which, just abstain in total. We had appointment of Mr. Wayne Smith, General Manager of the Oaklawn Park, a little establishment down the road. It's adding some jobs and some activities going on right now. Mr. Smith, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. Appreciate the invite and the consideration for the A&P Commissioner's position.
Well, we appreciate what the A&P Commission does, and certainly we appreciate the efforts of Oaklawn Park and what you do, both directly and then through the Oaklawn Foundation.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank
It's
you, Mayor.
awesome. So, thank you.
Thank you. And if I can just remember one event, don't forget on Saturday the 16th is the Rebel. So we should have our own 30 or 40,000 people at Oaklawn. So.
We hope they all come down to the parade the next day.
And they absolutely will, because last year they did it on the same day. So we're very excited. But I'm very excited and for this opportunity, and thank you very much for your vote. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
I'd like to point out, Mayor, also on the consent agenda, we did approve the appointment of Director Elaine Jones
So they
to
go
another
with
term
him.
at the Advertising and Promotion Commission.
Did you remember to attend the meeting after you were appointed?
No.
All right, we're moving on to new business.
I'm in good shape.
Pardon? You ready?
Yes, sir.
Right now, we'll consider Resolution R 1941, and I'd have the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R 1941, a resolution approving a bid to Coakley Construction for 2019 Waterline Improvement Project Phase 1. That concludes your reading, Mayor, if you would. Entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion
So
to
moved.
adopt.
Second.
Director Weatherford, seconded by Director Foley, and our staff report will be provided by Project Manager Todd Pillar. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. You guys are having too much fun tonight. I need to get something approved. This resolution is for our 2019 water line improvements. This is Phase 1, and we took bids on February 25th. Coakley Company was the low responsible bidder out of 4 bidders, and their total base bid price was $767,239. $767,239. Our engineer, Carl Hansen, his estimate was $800,000, so we're under budget. I provided you with the certified bid tabulation and Carl's letter. This is Phase 1 because of all the RDOT work that's going around the city of Hot Springs and Garland County. These projects were engineered in 2018. We can bid them here early in the spring, get them under construction, finish them. And we're waiting to see how the shoe falls, if you want to call it that, with all the RDOT projects we have going on. And we need to keep monies aside for our relocation of utilities. However, we do have Christ Engineers designing our Phase 2 portion of the work, which is mainly the pressure zone change contracts that the things we need to do to lower the pressure in parts of town due to our 3 million gallon water tank we're putting behind Lowe's, and reduce pumping and aged water lines that we haven't got to yet. But this year, the Phase 1, the upgrades and the fire hydrants we're going to add are along the streets of Pullman, Crypto, Chaucer, Kelton, Ward, Harvard, Greenwood, Riley, Fulton, and Nichols. So a pretty good list of upgrades of water mains we're going to do, but we need a little bit of hold funds back. These funds for this project will come out of the 2019 water budget. And like I said, we'll wait until we see how things fall out with RDOT and so forth before we go into Phase 2. But with that, I'll turn it over to any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Pillar? Thank you.
I do have
Oh,
one.
Director
Todd,
Foley.
if we have a main under a roadway, do we relocate that to the right-of-way? Or do we keep it in the roadway underneath?
Usually, if it's a city street, say, usually we have a sewer side and a water side. We'll usually pick, because we have to have 10-foot separation horizontally and 18 inches vertically. So it all depends on the street, whether we go outside the road or inside the road, depending on, and also like in Belding's case this year, we added the 2-inch fiber optic conduit. So it was a wider trench. So we had to pick where we could go, and we decided to go on the other side of the street and take a half a lane all the way down Belding. And by the way, I should mention that we had some really rough intersections at Belding and Lincoln, and at Belding and Gaines. And we kind of did like we did up here at Pecan and Prospect. We kind of just, the utility department picked up the tab. We went through and just did the whole intersection to make it look nice. So it all depends on where the main is, where the existing are, because we can't be too close to the existing main because we'll blow it out. If we don't have enough.
Let me ask the question differently. Are we making an attempt to remove our mains from under the roadway to the right-of-ways Or we just?
It
forget
all,
about
it really, I really can't answer that. It really depends on where the existing stuff is now and where,
We just replace it where it is now? Or
oh, no, sir. We have to be far enough away that we can keep that main in service until we put the new main in, pressure test it, disinfect it, then we tie all the services onto it. Then we can abandon the old main, and usually the old main stays right there.
So if a line is in the right-of-way, chances are pretty good it'll end up in the roadway? And if it's in the roadway, chances are pretty, because you got to keep that distance, it'll be pretty close to being in the right-of-way?
Yeah, it's a flip of a coin. It all depends because in our right of way, there's lots of other utilities. There's gas, there's fiber optic, there's, us water and sewer, telephone, all that stuff is in there. We have just,
Yeah, I'm just looking at the condition of our roads. I mean, we're trying to make a concerted effort to make sure that we aren't always cutting into our road system.
I agree because the listing of the streets I gave you, we look at the 2019 paving plan and we make sure that we go in and do those roads with those mains first so we can compact it, put the road back, and then when the 2019 paving program comes through, we mill it up and put a nice new road over the whole thing.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't really have a good answer for you about right away or not right away because it really depends on the street and where the utilities are.
Thank you.
So,
Director Foley, one of the other factors that they sometimes have to consider is what type of street it is. And what I mean by that is whether it was a platted, dedicated right-of-way on a plat of a subdivision or whether it's a prescriptive right-of-way, which is just, edge of pavement to edge of pavement. We don't really have a right-of-way in some of our streets.
Okay, thank you.
I will add, Director Foley, that we always try to minimize the street cuts as much as possible.
Okay,
We do.
thank you, Todd.
Okay.
Thank you. We had no citizens sign up to speak on this issue. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Weatherford,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Now we'll consider Resolution R 1942 and I ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R 1942, a resolution approving the 2019 annual street paving program. That concludes your reading. Mayor, if you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Clark, seconded by Director Foley. And Mr. Denny McFate, Director of Public Works, will provide the staff report. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and directors of the board. Staff's recommendation is to approve the street list for the 2019 paving program that includes the paving, milling, and preparation for the proposed list of the city streets. A list of alternate streets is also being proposed in the event a street on the paving program is unavailable to be paved due to unforeseen circumstances or if actual costs are less than the estimates on the primary list. The cost of all the streets on the alternate list is more than the available funds. However, we will monitor actual costs as the work progresses and will not exceed budget limits. The amount of the 2019 budget that's allocated for the paving, 2019 paving project this year is $903,234. I might mention under the physical impact that the total amount of this 2019 budget of $903,230, $300,000 of that comes out of the general fund, and $603,234 is from the half-cent state sales tax for road improvement, street and road improvements. And additionally, I may add that a couple of meetings ago, the Board of Directors approved reappropriations from the 2018 funds. With that reappropriation, we'll be adding $249,000 to this paving list of funds, which will bring our actual paving for 19 to $1,152,000. And that would allow us to get, I think our alternate street was a total of about $591,000, so we'll pick up $290,000 for that alternate with the reappropriations. Any questions?
Any questions of Mr. McFay? Director Garcia?
I just wanted to follow up. Last week during the agenda meeting, I'd asked about an alternate street that was on the alternate list last year that didn't get paved and didn't make it on the list. And y'all sent the information that that had been not added because the gas company was going to be doing some work there.
It was
and-
actually our street.
Or the street.
Our sewer and water.
The sewer and water. It was another utility was going to be doing work, and that's why it came off. And if someone had watched that, I just wanted to reiterate that y'all did follow up, and there was a good reason it was not on the list.
That was Jerome Street.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions, thank you.
Thank you.
We had no member of the audience sign up to speak on this issue. Any discussion amongst directors? I'll just make a real quick comment that the original number of $903,000 for the general public's information, that will pay 4.48 miles. So it doesn't go very far, does it? Given the number of streets that we have here in town that are under our responsibility. 4.48 miles, and we're going to spend $903,000. So, with that, please call the roll.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Weatherford.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Our final two action items are both ordinances, and in order to move forward, I'll entertain, we're going to consider ordinance number 01911. In order to move forward, I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Director Garcia, Director Jones, all in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and read by title only, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion is approved. Council, please read by title.
Ordinance 01911, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5822, section 3, to define lot of record and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion if any.
Motion to adopt. Director Foley, seconded by Director Jones. And Planning Director Kathy Selman will provide the staff report. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Kathy Selman, Planning and Development Director. This is a brief correction clarifying an action that was taken in 2011 by ordinance. It turned out that a definition that was created describing lots of record did not, in fact, accomplish what we were trying to do with it. And having had 8 years to think about it, we're now going to fix that. This proposal clarifies that in addition to lots predating June 1st, 2011, Planning Commission approved tracts, lots, or parcels also are lots of record for the purpose of development or for municipal utility extension. And this proposal would apply citywide in all districts and within the planning area. Planning Commission advertised and held a public meeting on February 14th, 2019 to hear testimony and consider the item. No one testified for or against the proposed amendment. Planning Commission voted 9-0 to accept the findings and recommendation of the staff report that the Board of Directors approve an ordinance defining lot of record to read, lot of record. Any tract, lot, parcel, or legally describable ownership established by public record, such as a recorded deed or plat, or recorded or unrecorded contract for deed, signed and notarized existing prior to June 1st, 2011, or any tract, lot, or parcel established by a subdivision of land approved by the planning director or the planning commission as their respective jurisdiction may allow herein, and recorded as a plat thereof, and is keeping the statement that an easement shall not constitute a lot of record. And so Planning Commission's recommendation is that the board approve the ordinance.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions of Director Selman?
I do. What is the
Director
difference?
Follett.
What is the difference? I mean, I read it and I didn't understand it a couple of times.
The,
So what's the change?
The change is that something that Planning Commission approves also becomes a lot for purposes of development or utility extension. The existing definition says that if it existed prior to June 1st, 2011, it is a lot of record for that purpose. At the time that the 2011 ordinance was approved, it was to deal with the vast number of unapproved land divisions creating lots that had been recorded without review or approval by the city as required by state law. At that time, anyone who came in with a lot that had been recorded by the county but not approved by the city had to go back and correct all of the documentation that should have been done. This was very time-consuming. Often the person involved wasn't the person who had divided the land, was astonished at what they were being asked to do. This kind of evened things out, and if somebody thought they had a lot and that lot existed because of recordation or because there was a contract for sale that was recorded or not recorded, then those were determined at that time by the board to be treated as if they had gone through the required review and approval. So the new terminology is that which comes toward the end that says if the planning director or planning commission approved it, it's a lot of record also.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
We had no member of the audience sign up to speak on this issue. Any further discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Clark,
Aye.
Weatherford,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance number 1912, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Whole left side.
Well, we're on the
Choose.
same page, you know
awake.
that much.
Director Clark made a motion, Director Davidson seconded the motion. So all in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and read by title only?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The wheels are coming off. Yeah.
I think Director Jones's cake is wearing off.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'll read your ordinance by title. Ordinance 01912, an ordinance amending ordinance number 6212, Hot Springs Sign Code, excluding certain temporary signs from regulation, declaring an emergency and prescribing other matters related thereto. That concludes your reading. Mayor, if you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
For Weatherford, seconded by Director Garcia, and always the straight-faced Director Selman of the Planning and Development Department. Welcome again.
Thank you. I feel welcome. This is about temporary signs to regulate or not regulate. And over the past several years, Planning Commission has recommended and the Board of Directors has approved by ordinance to exclude temporary signs from regulation. As far back as 2011, certain businesses in Hot Springs brought to the board's attention their belief that the Hot Springs Code does not adequately address the use of banners and temporary signs as a means of promoting commerce. In response, in 2011, the board indicated the desire not to enforce such standards, particularly with regard to automotive sales. So we've had a multi-year period of regulatory exclusion during which time the Planning and Development Department has had very few, if any, complaints about temporary signs regarding the size, shape, number, and so forth. There has been some enforcement of signs in the right-of-way. Right-of-way signs are prohibited, and those are handled as soon as we're aware of them being there. We have had a few comments about air-driven signs, and those are those floppy signs that sometimes are quite tall. The concern with air-driven signs typically focuses on a perception that they could be a danger to nearby pedestrian and vehicular traffic if they fell over, especially if they're located within the right-of-way, which they usually are. But we know that signs can't be in the right-of-way, so we are able to usually get immediate compliance from someone who is displaying one of those signs. Awareness of the U.S. Supreme Court's Reed decision, which limits strictly our sign regulations to time, place, and manner, and not message, guided Planning Commission's evaluation of this matter. The short version of Reed is that if you have to read the sign to know if it's compliant, then your regulations probably are not consistent with the Reed decision. Hot Springs Code, sign code, was amended to be Reed compliant in 2017, and any new regulations need to be Reed compliant as well. Planning Commission at their January 10th advertised work session closely considered information about all types of temporary signs, guided in part by a publication called Best Practices in Regulating Temporary Signs, updated with Reed versus Town of Gilbert Supreme Court case. And they looked at just about every kind of temporary sign that you could think of. Following that work session, they advertised and held a public meeting on February 4th to hear testimony and consider the item. No one testified for or against the proposed amendment. Planning Commission voted 9-0 to accept the findings and recommendation of the staff report that the Board of Directors approve with the emergency clause an ordinance classifying temporary signs within Hot Springs Code, Section 16512. That's called signs excluded from regulation, subject to Hot Springs Code requirements in other sections, miscellaneous sign restrictions and prohibitions. Temporary signs still will have to comply with sign maintenance and the requirements of off-site sign regulations. So Planning Commission is recommending that you approve the ordinance.
Any questions of Director Selman?
Kathy, does this represent a reduction in regulations from the city?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
There are no additional regulations. There are no additional fees.
Thank you. Nice move for 19.
Any other questions of Director Selman?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
On this issue, we had no member of the audience sign up to speak. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Weatherford.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted.
Mayor, there is an emergency clause associated with this ordinance. With your permission, I'll read it in its entirety. Section 2, it is hereby found and determined that an emergency exists, and this ordinance being immediately necessary for the protection of public health, safety, and welfare shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its passage and approval. That concludes your reading of the emergency clause in its entirety. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
And Director Foley made the motion, seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor of the motion to approve the emergency clause signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Emergency clause is adopted. That concludes the action items for this evening. Any board of directors have an item for discussion? Any item you want to bring up? Hearing none.
Elaine, did
I forgot what I was supposed to tell you, Mayor, but that's okay.
Well, we're
I'd like to
still,
point out, Mr.
still
Beard
waiting on you,
attended our
Director
meeting tonight.
Jones.
Yes,
Still waiting on you.
oh, I moved that we adjourn
No,
for the
we-
night.
Any objection to that? We need a second.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to adjourn.
Yeah.
Pardon? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Turn off the lights when you're out if you're opposed.